Well, good morning. Okay, so we have a night divided. It's crazy hat day, so I got my little Santa hat on. It's not as crazy as I had, so what I went with. Chapter 38. Everything that is done in the world is done by hope. Martin Luther. And that's actually a German priest, not to be confused with Martin Luther King Jr. Curfew was approaching, which brought another fight with Mama. Fritz and I wanted to keep working. With only 2 days left before we could be expected to report for military duty, our time crunch was worse than ever. If my father was on the other side, then we could connect with him tonight and be free. And what if it's not him? Mama asked. I didn't dare to think about it. If it wasn't him, then our efforts were doomed. No, we were doomed. We weren't much we won't get much further tonight, Mama said. We're all exhausted, and it's important for whoever is listening in our apartment to hear our voices. Besides, if there's bad news coming our way, I'd rather they find our tunnel while we're not in it. Mama was right about everything, especially that we were exhausted, too tired, in fact, to put up any reasonable protests for staying. So we put down our tools and followed her home. In my bedroom that night, I was so excited about what might be in the other tunnel that I was sure I would never get to sleep. But within only a few seconds, sleep found me anyways. I woke early and deliberately made plenty of noise so that everyone else would wake up too. We had a quick breakfast, chatting cheerfully the entire town about how excited we were for Fritz to report to military service the next day, and about our confidence that once the state saw how well he served, Mama would surely be restored to her former job. Lies. I was tired of always having to lie. As soon as we went in as soon as it was appropriate, we ventured back onto the street. In our anticipation to reach the tunnel, we started down the sidewalk too quickly and bumped straight into Frau Herberhart. The dour woman clearly wasn't in a good mood this morning. She scowled when she saw us in working clothes and brushed herself off, even though I was sure we hadn't gotten any dirt on her. I excused their poor manners while you were out of town, Frau Herberhart told my mom, but I thought they would have improved again when you returned, not worsened. You bumped into them, my mother snapped. You should have be the one apologizing. Frau Herberhart straightened herself up and elevated her mother and evaluated my mother's appearance. I thought you were a church-going lady, but it seems you have more important plans today. Mama and I looked at each other. With so much else to think about, none of us had remembered today was Sunday. Mama attempted to excuse it with a joke. Well, Frau Herberhart, I suppose some days the Lord wants us in his house and some days he wants us going about his work. Which are you choosing? Frau Herberhart reacted by wrinkling her nose, as if we smelled. Maybe we did. And the Lord's work is gardening? Did your daughter mention that she promised me some of the harvest from that garden? She seemed to think it might encourage me to keep quiet in case I saw anything suspicious. Mama smiled at Fritz and me. Why don't you two go ahead? We have to talk, mother to mother. Fritz grabbed my arm and pulled me off with him. By the time I looked back, they were already exchanged in what looked like a very intense conversation. Something had changed in Mama over the last few days. She looked tired and worried, just as we did, but she seemed younger and stronger too, as if digging the tunnel had reclaimed the spirit of who she used to be. Frau Herberhart was right, I said. I did sort of bribe her. Let Mother work it out, Fritz said. Our job is to dig. After we made it into the shelter, Fritz and I had the luxury of deciding what to do about the second tunnel without Mama getting a vote. We knew what she would have wanted, and that once she made up her mind, the decision would be final. For Mama, any risk was too much risk. But Fritz thought Mama had made some good points last night. Other families have escaped through tunnels, he said. If the Stasi have gone to such efforts to barricade the ground above us, why not below us as well? I disagreed. Why didn't Officer Mueller warn us then? Officer Mueller never said he was on our side. Fritz was right about that. If anything, Mueller had promised just the opposite, that if we were discovered, he would be there to arrest us. I listened again with my ears pressed against the tunnel wall, but this time there was no sound. Either the other tunnel had moved farther away from us, or else nobody was digging right now. I grabbed the shovel and began digging in that direction. Whatever is ahead of us, we can't quit now, I said. Besides, if it's Stashi's, maybe it's Stashi's, but what I fear even more is missing Papa's tunnel. So Fritz relented and he worked with me. We had to move carefully because of the other pipes overhead, and there were large rocks in front of us, but at least we were digging again. Mama joined us soon after. When we asked her what had taken so long, she said, Frau Herberhart believes you two are up to something. I tried to convince her otherwise, but she insisted I was in denial. Children today are more slippery than they used to be. A lazy mother can miss the signs. Mom huffed. She sits outside all day like a lump and then accuses me of laziness. I shrug. You're not lazy, but in all of this mud, I can believe that I'm quite slippery. Mama laughed and then grew serious again when she said, our conversation moved to her Krause's death. She's upset about it, just like the rest of us. She admitted that she was the one who had turned him in, but also insisted she had no idea what they would do to him. I told her to go inside and stop asking so many questions, and there would be more deaths. Does she suspect about the tunnel? Fritz asked. I don't think so, but she didn't go inside either. Shh, quiet down, I hissed. Shh. I paused from digging and pressed my ear against the dirt. The sound in the other tunnel had begun, and they were closer than ever. It was impossible to know exactly, but I was sure whoever was on the other side must be within an arm's length of us. Then, very high up, a stick poked sideways through the dirt. It was no rounder than an earthworm, but there was a lantern light on the other side, far more light than we were allowing ourselves here. None of us breached. The stick went forward and wiggled as if people on the other end, was feeling for more dirt or some rock. Feeling nothing, it was withdrawn, and then the more focused beam of a flashlight came through. Still, we said nothing and didn't even move. We had been discovered, but by whom? Then in a low voice, I well remembered from my childhood, someone sang an even more familiar tune. They dig and they rake and they sing a song. It was Papa. Yay! What we went to heaven. Till tomorrow.